We are going to go off the beaten path today because today is our 100th episode.
Woo!
Woohoo! Yay! We did it! We made it! I think what I would really like to talk about on this episode, and it's something that we throw out there pretty randomly, and I think because we don't have Michelle here with this, what I would like to do is bring in Murphy and let him be a part of the podcast. So
Yes.
will you go, Shannon, will you go open the door and let Murph come in?
He really wants to come in.
Yeah.
Has an icicle face.
Yeah.
Murphy.
Yay! There's his buddy. Go, lay down. You have to lay down now. Oh my gosh, he's serious.
I know, yeah, has an icicle in his face.
Hey, there's the paper towel behind you. Would you?
It's cold enough here that we have to get icicles off our
Off his beard?
off the beard.
It's an icicle, Murph. It's an icicle. Okay, thank you. Whew. Okay. So in the spirit of Michelle, on our 100th episode of our podcast, we have her big giant dog that's been with us for the weekend, joining us in our podcast. So today I want to talk about something that was really, it happened on one of my lessons yesterday, and it's a fabulous journey that I'm going on with this client that I picked out her puppy for her, and we're going on this pretty amazing training journey with the puppy, and her husband is a very deep thinker, and he is super fun to talk to. And so we get through our training session, and she'd just come off a walk. I was early, and normally the puppy has a nap before we have our training session, but we went ahead and decided to meet anyway. So we were talking about leash and back tying and keeping the puppy with, and you know what that whole thing looks like is the whole time that the puppy is asleep on my lap, and we'll put this up. This will be our cover page for this podcast, so you can just see this puppy is just completely just out, draped over my lap as we're talking, and that was the lesson really, and the whole time is she's sleeping on my lap, and there were two things that happened during that lesson for me. One was, as a trainer, it felt so good that, you know, that puppy, she came up to me just like she would another dog, and she's all wiggly, and she's got her nose up, and she's trying to lick my lips, and then it was this very calm, like safe place for her to be, that she just climbed up on top of my lap and literally just was out. And it was that asking, hey, can I be into you? And I just grabbed a hold of her and just, you know, held her, and she just surrendered herself to me and just laying in my lap. And it was pretty emotional for me as I'm teaching this lesson, that I felt that. And we feel it all the time going into homes of where the dog behaves so well when we come into the home, and then they're just a train wreck when we leave. And it feels so good to have that gift to come in and add and give dogs that something of our soul in that home for that moment, that they can find peace, or they can find safety, or they can find that structure or that direction that they need. And it's something that's very difficult for us to pass on to people, that just doesn't come natural, and it just felt good yesterday to just have that. And I don't think that I have opened myself up in that way to feel that for a long time. And so I feel like, you know, as this 100th episode comes into play, that, you know, as a dog trainer, you're training, you're pushing, you're asking, you're the coach for the dog, you're the coach for the family, and to be able to just feel that peacefulness of, that's who I am for the homes that we go into. was pretty spectacular for me. And I think that I was just in the right frame of mind. And so let's talk a little bit about that, and then I'll move on to the rest of this lesson, which was incredibly emotionally stimulating, not tearful, not that kind, but there was something more deeper than that I could not explain. So Melissa, talk to me a little bit about you going into homes and what that feels like from a trainer standpoint. To be that person and some of the experiences you've had going into it.
I think that's awesome. I remember the first time client cried with me, and I went into the house, and it was a puppy, and it was a basic puppy package. There weren't any, not to say a basic, but you know what I mean, there wasn't any big behavioral issues with the dog, but they cried, and it was very raw and very vulnerable, and I think that's one beautiful thing about what we do is that dogs are more than just a dog. They are part of our family, and they're, for many people, part of their soul. You know, like they have a connection with them, and we got more things up here. But for people to be opened up enough that we go in at it's a vulnerable thing to have somebody come into your house and be like, hey, we're having these problems. And it's very special to do that. And I remember when the client, the dog was a fighter, she called me and her dad came to New York. Dad hasn't been in the house for 15 years. He had some health problems, and then he scared the dog, who is now 8 years old. And the dad visited for Christmas, and she called me crying because her family was finally brave enough to come to their house for Christmas. And I mean, for me, I was like, oh yeah, the dog's not fighting anymore. Such a small thing, but to her, that was the world. For her family to come over. And it's just I think it's a beautiful process, and it's, each client is so different and so special, and I'm truly grateful. I've learned so much from the dogs I teach. I always tell people, your dog teaches me a lot more sometimes than I teach them. Dogs speak, and we're just here to listen. On Saturday week, after we worked all the dogs, my husband and I read by the fireplace, and we have a dog staying over, an old client. The dog's been a year and a half now, but it was the hardest dog I ever crate trained. This dog was a little Havanese puppy, hardest dog. And I almost cried because she was just nestled up on my husband's lap, sound asleep. And I remember this dog was just a terror. Everything was difficult and hard, and I was sick of the dog. The family was sick of the dog. They wanted to get rid of this dog. And now she's great in her crate, walks in her crate, and now just her asleep. And I'm like, what a year. That we were opened ourselves up enough. Because we as trainers have to be vulnerable to the process too. And it's a leap of faith. Trying to understand these amazing creatures. And so, each home I get goosebumps. I have to go back to my car and kind of, that was a journey. Everything's a journey, and it's awesome.
Shannon, you come from a place of from working in a vet clinic to being, our backup support. Hey, can you go get this dog out? Can you help us here? Can you do this for us? And you're kind of, you get to see the backside of really what we do and the results of what we do a lot of the times. And then you do have some of your clients that you go in that they're like it's your person. And I remember turning cute Daisy over to you. She has to have weekly shots, and her owner can't. It's really hard for her owner to do that. But Daisy really didn't like me giving her shots. It really was somewhat, I don't know. I just wasn't that person to her. Like her and I had been through a lot because she was leash reactivity, old dog. She's slightly grumpy. And so I had to push her out of her comfort zone a lot, and I think that, that triggered that I don't want you giving me shots because I pushed her out of my comfort zone. And when I turned her over to you to do her shots and to get her out weekly, and the old lady that she is, talk to me a little bit about what you feel like your role is to her every week when you go.
I think that one of my best traits is that I'm calm, like I have a really calm energy, and that could be just natural, or it could have been fostered from working in the veterinarian for so long,
Yeah.
because you do have to maintain a calm to be able to do things to dogs that maybe are uncomfortable for them,
Yeah.
maybe painful for them. They're uncomfortable to be there or afraid anyway.
Right.
And so a lot of the time, I am like the test person.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like we need someone to come and test this dog and see how they react. And so since I'm so calm, you know, I'll get the mildest maybe reaction. You know, it's
Right.
not over the top.
Yeah.
Or I work with a lot of dogs that are afraid to do things. You
Yeah.
know, then I'm the one that goes and does it with them every day. So
Yeah.
Daisy, she is just like an old lady.
Yep.
She has her quirky little things, you know, her things she likes to do, but I remember when I started going, like, she did not like having a shot, and you had to do a lot of distracting and kind of things to get her to be calm and stay still. And we just have our routine of what we do. You know, I come in, say hi to her, put her leash on, go get the shot, go give it to her, you know, and she's totally calm now. Like, I haven't had a reaction from her, a negative reaction, for
A long time.
over a year.
Yeah.
I don't know, and even when we go, because then for the reward for getting the shot, we go on a little walk, like around the neighborhood, like around a couple blocks. And she used to be very reactive, you know, and you and I went and walked with her together like a couple months ago, where you brought some stranger dogs, and I went in and got her and walked, and she walked just fine with strange dogs, which is, I feel like, a big accomplishment for that dog, not having, like, seen all the work that you guys have put into her not being that way. But I think it's just like having this routine, and that it's the same all the time, and I'm the same all the time, and I'm calm, and I don't get, you know, worked up about it, and I think too, like, I have a lot of experience doing that, so it's, to me, I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal, but I think it is a big deal to Daisy.
Sure.
And I think it's a big deal to Sue, her owner, that she doesn't have to do that, be the mean person and give the shot. But I don't know how Daisy reacts to her. Sometimes she has to get it, like if they go on a big long trip and they're gone for like 2 months, you know, then Sue will have to do it, because I can't go to wherever they are, New York or whatever. But it's just having those routines and being calm and being the same. If the dog knows that you're going to be the same all the time, then they don't have any reason to do other than like what your goal is.
So I had again, I think that this 100th episode is a pretty special turning point for us, because, you know, we've been driving forward, and you know, we're all passionate about what we do, and the dogs and the training and all that we do, and I think that we don't always stop and hear or stop and think about the things that are presented to us or asked of us, or, you know, stories along the way, and Saturday, I'm going to circle back to this other lesson, but Saturday, I'm out working with a dog that he just doesn't have the confidence out in social situations, and so he's become a bully because he hasn't had any support from his owners. They just didn't know what to do, and so we were finally to the point that we could go out and be in a social situation and use the skills that they've been working on, and so their friend that, you know, as you work dogs, you have dog friends, and he comes walking up, and I didn't see his dog, and then all of a sudden, you know, this little old lady healer who's deaf comes tootling behind just at her own pace, and you know, she came up and greeted us all, and their dog was very appropriate with her, and he, you know, introduced himself, and they're chit-chatting like they do when you're out being social with your dog, and he said, I just truly believe the dogs have this figured out. And I just listened. I agree, because I think dogs do have this figured out, but I wanted to hear his version of what this figured out was. And so we, from the very beginnings of domesticating the dog, they were a tool. We used them, and you know, they were the ones to help us find the birds or find our, you know, our food for the day. And in return, we gave them food for a day's hard work. And it was something that, you know, as we domesticated dogs, we had to get more food so that we could take care of this animal that was helping us, because we needed to show them appreciation. You know, they don't have to go out hunting. I'm going to supply the food because we've done this together all day long. So then it evolved into, well, you know, as humans evolved, Murph's getting hot, he's going to go in concrete. As humans evolved, now we have homes and land. And so then the dogs, as we had more food to provide, we have homes and we have yards, and just kind of jumping forward. Now the dog's in the yard and it has shelter. It's got a dog house. They don't have to sleep in the open anymore. We've got safety where the dog feels like they can sleep, you know, whether it's open country or not. And so then the dog got this dog house and this safe environment to be in, so then they didn't have to be on guard all the time. To fast forwarding to, well, now the dog gets to be in the house, and now on the couch, and on the bed, and then they get to go to the basketball games or the soccer games, or they get to go on road trips with us and adventures, and now they're so much a part of our family. And this is what this gentleman is saying, is he's talking about how dogs have it figured out. And he said, I'm just curious of what's next for them. And I thought, wow, yeah, that's true. Very true. You know, they have moved into our world where we used them as a tool, and I truly believe that now we're the tool for them to survive. So that was just a really fascinating story to throw in there of, you know, what's next? What's next? What are they going to figure out to manipulate us into what's next? And I think it's fantastic. And I think that leads into this next place that I want to go to with this lesson that the puppy has just crashed on my lap. And her husband, he was sitting up on the couch, and he got a little bit closer, and he said, I have a question for you. And he's very deep, so I knew this was going to be something incredibly deep. And he says, how do you know, by meeting us for 45 minutes and then never seeing this dog that you picked out for us, how did you know this was going to be the dog for us? And it kind of caught me off guard a little bit, because I for the first time in a long time, I had to say, I don't know how to describe that to you, because I'm pretty good at being able to teach and, you know, work through. And I said, my best answer to you is one, that I love people, and I love to, I guess, not figure out why people do what they do, because that doesn't matter, but why people do what they do and how it impacts everything else. And how, more importantly, how it impacts the dog. What you do impacts the dog. Whether you have a dog or not, you're walking out, somebody has a dog, what you do impacts that dog walking on a leash. And so, you know, there was my first, it's because I love human beings, and I feel like I can read people well enough through the eyes of a dog to say, I know what personality I need to get you. Now let's find the breed that you like, or what's appealing to you. And then my second answer to that was, I just feel like I have the soul of the dog to be able to be their advocate and to see what their needs are based on their personality to fit into the homes. And that's so abstract. And he asked me, he says, have you ever been wrong? And I said, only for myself when I've picked out my own dog this last time. And I said, and now she's in a home that's perfect for her. And I picked, it was like, yeah, you take her, but me picking that with a very purposeful reason just didn't work. But for everybody else, I haven't failed yet. So, for us as trainers, I feel like that it's this gift that we have for the dogs, that we're really here to teach the people, because what's next for the dog, right? If you put that whole thing in coming full circle, what's next, what else, what other tool, how are they going to use us as a tool to get, further than where they are right now? Melissa, have you had situations like that where you're finding and picking out dogs and not sure why you're picking the dog that you're picking, but you're picking the dog?
Yeah, I have. So like one of the most, poor Murphy just keeps laying on the cord,
I know.
on the cord. It's a hard life. It's a hard life.
Yeah.
So one of my best friends came and asked me for a dog, that she was ready for a dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's hardest for the people you know. Well,
Yeah.
like friends. That is the
Yeah.
hardest. And so she had a couple of breeds that she wanted, and I just was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to explain, but my gut is just like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. And two, is also easier for me to pick out other people's dogs than my own.
Right.
It's,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that's when I need you to,
Yeah.
like, okay. But anyway, so for her, and I kept going back to a Rhodesian Ridgeback,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, I don't know. And it sounds weird, it sounds hooky, I don't know, but I had multiple nights in a row of a
Mhm.
vivid dream of her, the Rhodesian, on a red cliff,
Mm-hmm.
like laying on a cliff. Not cliff, but like, red sandstone, whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get that out of my head. Could
Mm-hmm.
not get that out of my head. And I called her and I said, listen, this is the dog I think's for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't like to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
She's always wanting to go. And I was like, you need grounding.
Mm-hmm.
You need a constant, you need a grounding, you need a more aloof dog.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, I think this is the dog for you. Like I just have it in a feeling. And then I was talking to another one of our best friends, like in our group, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I want to get a Rhodesian for her. And she was like, my aunt just called me and their neighbor had puppies,
Mm.
Rhodesian puppies.
Mm.
So I called the woman, and it all just like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
these two, she calls her dog her soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
They are just, like if I would created a dog
Yeah.
out of dirt or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
would be, it just works.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
finding dogs for people it's really about the people, and that we love the
Mhm.
people and the relationship with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I could have gotten her any dog and made it work.
Right.
But
Right.
what fulfills the dog? What fulfills her? And that's
Yeah.
really what
Yeah.
and I asked her, like, what is your dream for 5 years? And she's like, I want to be more grounded. I want to
Uh-huh.
be more steady. I want to
Mhm.
have something that's not too serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in a very serious way.
Sure.
So I don't know how to, but if you
Yeah.
know a Rhodesian,
Yeah.
you know that
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
that, and I've had other people picking out puppies, and it's just a very, I honestly think it's a very sacred experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because
sure.
you are defining the next 10 plus years
Yeah.
of their life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, for sure.
And so we don't take it lightly, but it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's one of the hardest,
Yep.
because I really put a lot into it.
Mhm.
But it's a very, your gut experience, and it's all about the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
All about the people and how the dog would see them,
Right. Right.
and what Cedar, the Rhodesian, needs
Mhm.
versus what Rochelle needs,
Yeah.
and how they can meet
Right.
both ways.
Right. Yeah. Shannon, why am I border collies wanting at the door? So 2 dogs in your household have been, oh, Shannon, you're taking this dog, from me, and it wasn't ever that, oh, I didn't have somebody for this dog, so Shannon's just good with dogs. It was just like that dog. And so let's start with Ripley. She was in her second home. She'd been through me with training, and Louis, your friend, he's particular. So it's not like we can just throw
any
things
old
in
dog.
there.
Yeah.
He's getting better at it, but we have to be, as far as living with him, he has to be ready to accept that. And so tell me a little bit about that experience with you. You're incredibly open and you're incredibly trusting, but I don't know that you were completely ready for the 2 dogs that we all of a sudden, within the same year, months almost, popped into your household. So talk to me a little bit about from your side of things as far as getting, making that happen.
So I guess it really starts with like when we decided to go on a herding journey.
Yep.
And you guys all got puppies and my sister Allison,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so thinking about, oh, that sounds really fun. I think I probably want to do that too.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the right time for me to
Right.
get a dog, and so I was just talking to my husband about it, it's something, everyone's having puppies, and he's like, well, I want a puppy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you do? It's like, yes, I do. And I'm like, okay. So then I say, Joe, I guess we're getting a puppy. And so I guess I'm thinking, like, I was ready for the herding dog
Yeah,
puppy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
In, like, what I'm thinking is going to happen with my
Mhm.
life. And then, like, I don't know, the next day, 2 days,
Yeah,
I don't even
was
know
really short,
how many
yeah.
days it was. You're like, here, I have this puppy for you. And it is, like, not what I was thinking
Right.
at all. And not what my husband was thinking at all, because husbands can be kind of particular
Yes.
with like what kind of dogs that
Right.
they imagine that they'll have.
Yeah.
And Ripley's just like a froofy, fluffy, like
Yeah.
tiny, really small dog, But always my husband, if I say, Joe found us this puppy, and then he'll just say, you know me, I love dogs. That's
Yeah.
always what he says,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
matter what we ask him about dogs. Oh, we're
Yeah.
having all these dogs, stay over. You know me, I love dogs.
We need
Oh,
to make a
we're going
video
on this trip.
compilation of every time you
Start filming it
Yeah.
secretly.
Yeah.
But I'm a believer that there's a right dog for you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you need help to find that right dog.
Yeah.
But if you believe that there's a right dog for you and you don't care what that dog is,
Yeah.
then that dog will find you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Ripley.
I feel
Because
like that too.
I was like, okay, I could have a new dog. World, universe,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then boom, 2 days later,
Yeah.
this is my dog.
Yeah.
Is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And she was magic with Louie.
Yeah.
Because I always, me and Mike both were always having this debate. We think Louie needs another dog,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't really like other dogs, and would that be mean
Yeah.
that we think he needs another dog, and so we just get one,
Right.
And so it had to be the right time, it had to be the right dog,
Yeah.
and it has benefited him immensely.
Yeah.
It's helped him grow, and given him things that he didn't have because he was an only puppy in the first place, and then he was never with dogs, he was only with me.
Yeah.
And so part of his growing up and being a dog
Yeah.
was missing. I did the best I could.
You played the dog very well. but still.
But
yeah.
he did need another dog.
Mhm.
And he loves Ripley, and she could take him,
Yeah.
because he can be intense, and
Uh-huh.
she's just can take intensity, and is not a care in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, you were doing that? Well, that's kind of weird. Let's do this instead, or whatever
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
And so we needed to have Ripley first before we got Dutch,
Yeah.
because I don't think Dutch would have gone well in our house
No.
if Ripley didn't break down these walls that Louis had about thinking that he had to be in charge or have to
Yeah.
be the policeman of the house or whatever, and make everything go his way that he thinks it's supposed to,
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's just oh, we're dogs, we can do whatever,
Mhm.
And so it's good to have someone that you trust, because
Yeah.
I feel like you could pick any dog for me,
Yeah.
and I don't care what it was, it's the right match for me, it's the right match for my house,
Yeah.
the dogs that I have, and I kind of always feel that way. And also too, sometimes you just meet this dog, this is a weird feeling thing that you can't explain,
Mhm,
that you just meet a dog and you're this is supposed to be somebody's
Yeah.
else's dog.
Yeah.
That happened with me, with my sister Carly.
Right.
We were at the vet and someone brought in this stray dog, and I'm like, Carly, this is your dog. No, you have to call, find the owner, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, this dog is it's
Yeah.
supposed to be for you, you have to take it,
Yeah.
And we did try to find the owner, and the owner didn't want the dog anymore, and it did become her dog, you know, her dog Clementine. But that's just like, sometimes if you know a person and you know that they're looking for a dog, you just like, you're like, this is their dog.
Yeah.
And that's just like the weirdness of our weird town of knowing dogs and knowing people, and that it's like magic when it happens.
Yeah.
And that's like the only way it can be explained, because you don't know, you just feel like this is that person's dog.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way with those dogs when you
Yep.
choose them for me?
Yep. Yeah, I just knew it. Like, I don't know why. Even Trigger, when you came to me and said, you know, we'd like to try, I'm like, oh yeah, for sure.
Well, it's funny, so with Trigger, like, even when she was a puppy, I was always like curious about her and attracted to her. And I didn't know why, and I always thought just, because it's Yuki's sister.
Yeah.
That's why I'm attracted to her.
Yeah.
I didn't know her that well, and she's a different dog.
Yeah.
But when it was like kind of the journey of what should we do, how can we make Trigger the happiest?
Right.
Like, what is the happiest home that Trigger can have?
Yeah.
I was like, Nick, my husband, that's my husband's dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, okay, hon, I found you a dog. Like, and Trigger's not my dog.
Yeah.
She's my husband's dog.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, those two are hilarious.
Yeah.
I joke that he has a new wife. Because Trigger just follows him everywhere. Sometimes at night, like, he'll just be cuddling Trigger. I'm like, hey, hon, I'm over here. Hi.
Yeah.
But I just knew, I was like,
Yeah.
and I was so nervous about asking you. I was like, hey, I'm gonna ask Joe, like, I think you have my husband's dog.
Yeah. Right.
And she goes to work with him every day.
Yeah.
Loves it.
Yeah.
Every morning she waits by the door knowing, if he gets in the shower, she won't get off the doormat.
Yeah. She's
Because she knows what's next.
Yeah.
Next, she has to go to work.
Yeah.
And it's just made him so happy, and it's fulfilled our pack in a way that I didn't know we needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The two gremlins are kind of one people dogs. Like,
Very
they
much
love
so.
both of us, but Yuki's my dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't explain what we have, and it's different, but Trigger's like, yep, and the first time she came into our home, she went in and sat on Nick's feet.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, you're mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
She claimed him from the beginning. So it's just when you get that gut feeling, it's a pretty magical thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard to describe, and I think that's, as people in general, not knowing that if somebody else selects your dog, it's a much better journey. And I'm excited for our new puppy coming in. The breeder is selecting her for us. We're not sure what we're gonna go get in 2 weeks. We know we're getting a female. We know we're getting a brown one, and that's it. I mean, that's truly is, we're going in with a very open mind of getting her, and it's a much better feeling overall than selecting your own. And when I picked out our first shepherd here as our family, I wasn't selecting him really for our family. I was selecting him for the purpose of what we wanted, or the dog that we defined. And so he was the family dog, and he was the perfect dog for us. He was the first dog that I ever picked out for us, and Chianti was picked out by the kids when she was born. So it's a fabulous journey to not pick out your own dog, but to trust what what an expert says, and being open to whatever breed. What you think maybe it should be isn't necessarily what is going to happen. And this new border collie puppy in this lesson, cute little Winnie, they have a household of 2 powerful Akitas that are the 2 best Akitas I've ever met in my life. Their souls are incredibly powerful, and they're very kind and gentle, and they're teaching this border collie how to be an Akita. Yes, a thing that's happening in that household, and it's fabulous. But how did I know? How did I know what border collie? I don't know. But it's something that I feel like is a gift that we, Michelle has it too, that I feel like we need to get it out there to the universe and say, you know what, there is a fabulous journey out there with any dog. It doesn't matter if it's a rescue or from a breeder. It's something that's a gift that we give for free to help people find the right dog. And it's an amazing journey when you have the opportunity to go on it. And I just really feel like on this 100th episode that this is something that we need to put out to the universe, that it is amazing when you don't pick your own dog, but when you are ready. And it's something that it doesn't matter where you live, we can help you find that dog for you. And I feel like it's a gift that we should continue to give and that we want to give. So putting it out there to the universe, and everybody that's listening out there to, if you have somebody that you know or even yourself looking for a dog, we are here, and it's a service that we offer for free, because it is a gift that we have, that we want to give.
I feel like we should say like matchmaker, matchmaker, matchmaker. Find me a dog, the perfect dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fabulous journey, and it's one that we all truly enjoy doing, and it truly is something that we can give and that we want to give.